Hi guys, welcome back to CJ's Keto Kitchen. Tonight is a special extra video in our rotation because we are very pleased to be having a partnership with Perfect Keto. They are going to be having a sale on their nut butters, and so I wanted to make a recipe that included using their nut butters in a very delicious cookie. And it is going to be called Almond Butter and Jelly Energy Cookies. So come along with me and let's get started. We are going to be discussing nut butters, and specifically we're going to be using Perfect Keto's nut butter in this recipe. And the reason that I like using it here in this step for these energy cookies is just because of the special ingredient that is in there, and that is MCT oil. So you could make these cookies with just regular almond butter, and I'm going to be using a little bit of just regular fresh almond butter. But the benefit of using an MCT oil product is many. Of course, energy. It can help with fat loss and metabolism. It can help with your hair and your skin and your nails. It can help you get your fat macros. There's a lot of benefits. And there will be an article from Healthline referencing the benefits of MCT oil that will be in the description box. So let's go ahead and get started making these cookies. You're going to need to preheat your oven for these energy cookies at 350 degrees. You are also going to need a cookie sheet with either a silicone liner, as I have here, or parchment paper. These cookies will need to be left on the cookie sheet once they're done baking for a while to solidify, and having easy removal is essential because they are a soft cookie. You are also going to need a hand mixer, although technically you could probably do this by hand. I have not done it that way. I'm just using my hand mixer. You're also going to need a small to medium sized bowl. So the first thing that we are going to be putting into our bowl, and for this recipe, is going to be almond butter. And I am going to be using a combination of regular unsweetened almond butter. Mine is just from Costco. It's nothing but almond butter. And then I'm also going to be using the Perfect Keto nut butter in this recipe. And I am using the almond butter and jelly flavor. You could use any of their flavors in this recipe, but I felt like the final step that I have for these cookies is really going to showcase the almond butter and jelly flavor. So I'm going to be using half a cup of regular and a half a cup of the Perfect Keto nut butter. So I have my half a cup, or my full cup measuring cup here, and I have lightly oiled it just so that I can release the nut butters easily. So I'm going to fill it halfway with my regular almond butter. So I'm going to fill up half of my measuring cup with my regular almond butter. Okay. As I stated in the introduction, I have indeed made these cookies with fully almond butter. I have also used a nut butter combination that I also got at Costco, and both of those had cookies that turned out just fine. So use whatever you can find. But I really do appreciate having a product like this because these are energy cookies, and the MCT oil that is found in the nut butters from Perfect Keto is providing that additional energy. So once again, I have the almond butter and jelly flavor, and I'm going to be filling up my 1 cup measuring cup with this product. And with the nut butters, when you first get them, you need to knead them. K-N-E-A-D. You already knead them because they're delicious, but you want to knead it, like squeeze it around and make sure that everything gets combined, because sometimes the solidified almond butter will settle to the bottom and it needs to be reincorporated. So. Now I'm going to put my almond butters into the bottom of our bowl. So the next thing that I'm going to be using is brown sugar alternative, and I'm using Sucrin Gold here. I believe that Swerve also makes a brown sugar natural sweetener, but I like the Sucrin Gold. I'm going to be using 2/3 of a cup of this. You can, of course, adjust the sweetness level to your taste because everyone is different in what they consider sweet. So definitely adjust it to your personal taste. I've made this several times, and 2/3 of a cup is what I came up with for our personal sweetness level. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to go ahead and start mixing our sweetener and our almond butters together before I add our last ingredient. Okay, so we've got those combined in our bowl. Now I'm going to add our last ingredient for our dough. And that is just going to be 1 egg, so 1 whole egg minus large. And I'm just going to incorporate that as well. So you can see that it only took a second, and our dough is quite firm and held together. So I'm just going to make sure everything got well combined, and it looks like it did. So we have a nice lump of dough here, which is just what we want. So I'm going to get my cookie sheet and I'll be right back. So I'm going to be using my cookie baller for this. You could just go ahead and use a spoon or 2 spoons if you wanted, but this is what I'm going to be using, and mine is a 1½ tablespoon cookie baller. So I'm just going to take our dough balls and I'm going to make them into a round. And they don't spread out a whole bunch, so you can put them fairly close together. Okay, so we have our cookie balls, and I've got 14 here. It all depends on what size you end up making yours. Now I'm going to take my thumb and press it into the center. But then I'm going to reform our cookie, because when we put our last ingredient in there, we don't want it to escape when it's baking. So what I do, I take my thumb. You could use the back of a wooden spoon handle or something else if you didn't want to use your thumb, but I have 2 of them, so I might as well use them. So we're basically creating a little well in our cookie. But per experience, I have found that you do need to go along and then reshape the outside of the cookie so that our filling will stay in as it's baking and not run out. So once again, I just make my shape, and now I'm just going along and I'm squeezing the cracks with my fingers just to make sure that our cookie stays together. And these cookies are going to be oily. That is the nature of the energy part, the MCT oil of the nut butters. But the oil will reabsorb back into the cookie and keep it moist. So don't be concerned about that. So there are our little cookies ready for the final ingredient. So because these are almond butter and jelly energy cookies, we are going to be putting just a little tiny bit of jelly in the center of each one. You can use any flavor that you'd like. I'm going to be using raspberry, but they make all different flavors. And you're only going to be using a little bit. And you're just going to put it right in the center of each cookie. And you don't want to use too much because you don't want it to escape during cooking. Okay, I am going to be baking these for about 12 minutes in my oven. That is what I have found worked the best for my oven, but I would suggest that you start at 10 minutes and then just watch them after that. Once again, that's 350 degrees. I'm putting mine in for 12, but I would suggest that you start at 10. Them out. A couple of them escaped, so we're just gonna fix them. I'll show you how. So when that happens, I just take my spoon and I just push everything back together, and as it cools, it will all solidify. And that's why you need to leave these on the cookie sheet until they're completely cool. Okay, so we're just going to leave these on our cookie sheet for at least a good 15-20 minutes until they're completely cool, and then they should come off our cookie sheet just fine. You can see I've taken them off the cookie sheet without incident with my little spatula. They're quite firm. They're not going to be like super crispy. They are an energy cookie, so they are going to maintain that softness. So you do want to store them in the refrigerator, because they do have an egg in them and, you know, of course, all the MCT oil. But they do remove from the cookie sheet. I know that we discussed that being a possible concern when I removed them, but they are coming off of the cookie sheet just fine. And I'm going to put some on a plate, and then CJ is going to taste them for us.
Hi.
Tonight we have a very special recipe. These are almond butter and jelly energy cookies, and I used the Perfect Keto nut butter.
Yep. So they did firm up. These have been sitting out for
Half hour?
yeah, half an hour, 45 minutes. So yeah, they actually do firm up.
Yeah, all the oils go back inside.
Yep. There you go. They're good. Hopefully I can sleep tonight.
Out chasing cars with all your energy?
Since you give me energy cookies. But no, they're good. They're really sweet.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. But like I said, people might want to figure out how sweet they like stuff.
Right. The Perfect Keto nut butters have some sweetener in them, so.
Yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind. So they're good. I don't think there was. I know some of them some of the stuff oozed out, but they're fine.
I scoop it back in and they're good as gold.
Yep, they're fine. So good job. I think people will like them. And we did make them without the Perfect Keto stuff, just with almond butter. They were still good as well. So versatile recipe. I think people will like them. And I do notice that the Perfect Keto stuff, nut butters actually do give you energy. I notice that when I take it or use it.
I'm going to have to pin you down to the couch then, so that you're not out running down the block.
I didn't want to eat at 8 o'clock at night.
All the things you sacrifice
I
for.
know. Anything for the YouTube.
Oh, good.
Thanks, baby. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us again tonight, you guys. We hope that you enjoy the cookies. I know that we definitely have been enjoying them. I've made several batches, and they're very delicious, and they do keep well. Definitely check out the buy two, get one free nut butters on the Perfect Keto website. We will have a link in the description bar that will take you directly to that page so that you can take advantage of that sale, because it is a great sale. We love their nut butters, and chocolate hazelnut is one of our favorites, but they're all very good. We hope that you'll come back and see us again. Please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you know when we upload new content and special content like tonight. Every Wednesday we have Keto Conversations, and that's where we talk about different ketogenic topics. Sometimes we do keto food unboxings, what we eat on this lifestyle, different topics like that, but in all ways that we can support each other in this community. And then on Sundays, our recipes go up. Sometimes it's a savory recipe and sometimes it's a sweet recipe. So definitely subscribe and hit the bell so you know when that goes up. We are also on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and there people talk about the recipes we've made, the ones that we're currently making, ones we've made in the past and are enjoying again. And they also post their own photographs of the recipes that are on our blog. And speaking of our blog, that is where all of the information for anything that you need for these recipes will be found. That's ingredients, macros, tips and tricks that I learned while making this recipe, and also CJ's taste test follow-ups, anything that you might need. So definitely head over there for any information for this recipe and all of our other recipes. And once again, that is cjsketokitchen.com. We hope that you'll come back and see us again. And until next time, be well.